Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. Bond set for former President Trump in the Georgia case, accusing him and 18 others of being involved in a criminal enterprise. This to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. NTD's Melina Wisecup joins us from the Fulton County Jail, where Trump is expected to surrender this week. Melina, what can you tell us about Trump's bond?
The Fulton County Superior Court has just released Trump's bail conditions, including specific conditions to prevent witness intimidation, including through social media posts. So we'll show you exactly what that court filing looks like. The charge is set for $200,000 worth of bail. That would cover all 13 of the charges that Trump's now being faced with. Trump's lawyers were spotted leaving the Fulton County Courthouse this afternoon after that bail was published online. Other defendants in this case have also had their bail set. For example, John Eastman, his bail is at $100,000. Other defendants have a much less price to pay than Trump, considering they did face less charges than Trump. He has 13 counts. Others have much less. Now, what we're seeing on the ground right now is media anticipating Trump and those other defendants to come here to the Fulton County Jail to surrender here. They have until Friday to do so, but we do expect Secret Service to work with the District Attorney's Office and the Sheriff's Office here at the Fulton County Jail to make arrangements for how this arraignment and booking process will ultimately unfold later this week.
So, Melina, even as former President Trump is dealing with this fourth indictment now, this doesn't appear to be sinking or affecting his popularity much. According to a recent poll, voters in Iowa appear to be growing more fond of the former president after this fourth indictment. Tell us about this poll. Yeah, so that Iowa poll is very important because Iowa is the first state where GOP voters will head to make their pick for the GOP nominee. That poll shows that Trump's lead actually grew by 5 percentage points since this Georgia indictment took place. So right now it shows Trump at 43%, DeSantis at 19%. Other candidates didn't even make it in the double digits. We'll read you Trump's quote that he wrote on Truth Social responding to that Iowa poll. So he said that I got the farmers $28 billion from China, the USMCA trade deal, and many others. Now, as far as how those other presidential candidates are responding to this indictment, DeSantis and Tim Scott, they've responded along the lines of, as they've always responded for the first 3 indictments, saying that this is an example of the weaponization of government. It's the criminalization of politics. Meanwhile, former Vice President Mike Pence has a different reaction, just saying that the Georgia election was not stolen, claiming that he had no right to overturn the January 6th, the election on January 6th when he was in Congress. Now, as for Vivek Ramaswamy, he has a very solid take on this, similar to his previous responses. I asked him how he feels about this Georgia indictment. He told me that this isn't how he wants to win. He even accused other Republican candidates of trying to use this to their advantage to get rid of Trump. Let's take a look at what Vivek told me.
I'm polling second in many of these national polls. It would be easier for me if Trump were eliminated from competition. I think that's what many Republicans, many in the Republican donor establishment are quietly rooting for as they prop up the other super PAC puppets. That is not how I want to win.
I also asked Vivek about his thoughts on Trump not attending that first GOP debate this week. He said he has no problem with that. So we could expect to see Trump post an interview with Tucker Carlson on X, where Carlson has published much of his other content. However, neither Trump nor Tucker Carlson have publicly confirmed that this is what they're planning to do. Back to you.
The first GOP presidential primary debate is just around the corner, but the event will not feature the leading candidate in the field, former President Trump. How will the debate play out, and how will it impact the candidates in the polls? Joining us now to discuss, we have attorney and former chief of staff to the acting defense secretary during the Trump administration, Kash Patel. Kash Patel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. Look forward to it.
Of course, Kash, the debate coming up this week, former President Trump deciding not to attend. You heard RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel, among others, saying that it's so important that he attend because the American people deserve to hear from all of the candidates. What do you say to that?
Well, look, I think the debate is over. I think President Trump is going to be the Republican nominee, and that decision was made by the voters some time ago. I understand the public's desire to have everybody in one place, but I think when you speak from a political perspective, President Trump is such an advantage. The only reason that Ronna McDaniel and company want him on stage and the other candidates want him on stage is because they want America to watch, and they know without him there, he's not going to watch. It's not like President Trump has hidden his Agenda 47. He's been putting it out for the last year plus on Truth Socials with videos and statements on everything from healthcare to the border to Russia to China to banking and everything in between. So there's no devoid position on policy for President Trump.
Kash, another point that some are making is that somebody in the debate will ultimately get a bump after the debate because the audience will like somebody better than the other. The question is, will that be enough to make a difference in the polls, do you think?
I mean, I don't think so. Look, I've never been the political pollster genius myself, but these numbers, even by my bad math, it's such a divide. I mean, you're talking 30, 40, 50 points, and I'm sure some of the folks there are going to perform well. The other problem, though, that they're going to have is that President Trump has agreed to do a live show with Tucker Carlson at the same time, which is why I think you're seeing an outcry from the traditional Republican circles as to please come to Wisconsin and debate on the debate stage, because otherwise no one's going to watch it. And I think that's what's going to play out. So the little bump that the next man up would have received is going to be even smaller now, in my opinion.
It's a very interesting point. It was a bit of a juggling act for Fox News this morning as I was watching to even talk about that prospect that you mentioned of Trump and Tucker teaming up at the same time. Trump does seem to have the ability to defy conventional wisdom. Now, with regard to his most recent indictment in Georgia, what direction do you think this will go? Do you see it being merged with the federal case in D.C.?
It's not going to merge with the federal case in D.C. From a legal standpoint. What some of the defendants are doing are moving that singular case in Georgia to federal court, and that's their right to do so. And even Fani Willis admitted the crux of the corruption claims she's making are based in federal law, and so they have a right to have that case in its entirety transferred to federal court. Now, that's a separate and apart from the matter that I think the prosecution is baseless, and the fact that she put out on her campaign trail that she was going to get Trump, and now she wants to try 19 co-defendants in Trump, on like Super Tuesday or something like that of next year. Of course, this is a political prosecution. And the fact that she broke Georgia state law by disclosing grand jury information 6 hours before it was lawfully released shows you the impetus behind this indictment itself. It should be challenged and thrown out immediately, like any other case would, if grand jury information was unlawfully disclosed.
So to your point, Kash, with regard to the legality of all of this, Alan Dershowitz penned an interesting piece saying that he actually tried to find uncounted presidential votes in the 2000 election for Al Gore. He lobbied officials and fought in the courts. Now it begs the question, what's changed?
That's just it. In 2001, 5, and 17, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, Senator Barbara Boxer, and Hillary Clinton all said that their opponents lost the election. That's their constitutional right to say that. That's freedom of speech. That's politics 101. And no one in the world can convince any juror that Donald Trump did not believe he won the 2020 election. He's allowed to have that belief. You may disagree with him, but challenging that is a constitutional precept of freedom of speech in politics. And to criminalize that just endangers it. For Alan Dershowitz, one of the most brilliant legal scholars, to say he went out and tried to find votes. There's nothing wrong with that. And so it's not criminal when Donald Trump says their elections were rigged. I believe they were. It's not criminal at all for Donald Trump to say he won the 2020 election. He firmly, squarely believes that. And it's up to the American people to adjudicate that decision at the polls, not in a court of law under a criminal sanction.
Kash Patel, appreciate your perspective. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much. Have a great day.
President Biden touring wildfire damage in Maui today. This as hundreds of people still remain missing. And that's also as Biden's initial response to the fire coming under scrutiny. NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao has more.
Nearly 2 weeks after wildfires swept through the Hawaiian island of Maui, and President Biden on Monday paused his summer vacation to visit the island, and touring damage and pledging strong federal aid. Local officials now say the fires have killed at least 114 people and that 850 others are still missing. And Biden vowed on Sunday to do everything in his power to help Maui recover. And while there, Biden's seeing the burned out areas firsthand and talking with survivors and getting briefed by local officials. But Republicans and some Democrats are criticizing Biden for his initial responses to the wildfires, such as
your Hawaii trip, sir?
No, not now.
And Biden's main 2024 rival, Donald Trump, also took aim at Biden's lack of comments.
It is a disgraceful thing that Joe Biden refuses to help or comment on the tragedy in Maui.
But the White House defends the president by emphasizing that he's been talking with local officials and leading a whole-of-government effort to respond to the disaster. It adds that it took him some time to visit because he did not want to interfere with emergency response efforts. Later tonight, Biden will return from Hawaii to Lake Tahoe, Nevada, where he will remain through Saturday for the rest of his summer vacation. Reporting by Iris Tao, NTD News.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.